Good morning. How's everybody doing this Wednesday? Things going well? These wild storms just blew into Kansas City like quickly. It was kind of crazy. So, did everybody have a great 4th of July? I missed you last week because we were busy doing stuff with family and having fun. But now we're back. And this week we are talking about changing your mind. Now, of course, what we're here to talk about is anxiety. And so I use anxiety as an example in the episode of the Transforming Anxiety podcast this week, episode number 23, Changing Your Mind About Anxiety. But I made a fantastic guide for you. It's the process for how to change your mind. And this process can be applied to anything. So whatever you need to change your mind about, whether it's a relationship, whether it's work, whether it's your finances, your health, anything, you can use this process to change your mind in a very systematic, pragmatic way. Because you know that I like tools that give us processes. There's no woo or miracle ending or anything like that. We're going to do step by step. Here's how we do it. So today, let's first talk about changing your mind, right? Because the truth is, most of us don't want to change our minds because we think we're right. We love to be right, right? Human beings love to be right. We choose being right over being kind. We choose being right over apologizing if something has gone wrong. It's like I would rather be right about that than admit to you that I was wrong and apologize. It's more important to me to be right. We choose being right over learning and growing and changing. And here's what I mean. If you are right now, if you're right about everything that's going on in your life, then you must be accomplishing your biggest goals, right? You must be living out the wonderful achievements of everything that you've ever wanted to create or do, right? You're like on the top of the peak. If you're right about everything, if you don't need to change your mind about anything, then you must feel amazing and you must be doing exactly what you want to be doing and you must be being exactly who you want to be. Always. Is that you? Is that anybody? Most of us, although we love being right, and although we are convinced we are right, most of us also can identify places where we want to feel something different. Maybe we're feeling overly stressed, overly anxious. Maybe we're impatient with the kids, right? Maybe we're feeling dread about something like work, right? So if there's some place that you want to feel differently, maybe, right? That's one aspect, that's one element that we can change our minds about. If there's a place where you're taking action that you don't want to be taking, like maybe you're overspending, maybe you're overeating, maybe you're over drinking, right? You're taking an action you don't want to be taking, right? There's a place where you might need to change your mind, right? If that doesn't feel completely right and true and authentic to who you want to be. And a lot of us see results in our life. And we look at a result like a certain number in a bank account, a certain number on a scale, the state of a certain relationship, the job that we have, the house that we have, the car that we have, right? There's all sorts of results in our lives, not material, relationships, work, finances, health. Health is a big one. Maybe you're looking at a result with your health that you really want to change. Maybe you want to be able to reverse diabetes. Maybe you want to be caretaking for arthritis or joint pain in a different way, right? Maybe you want to be aging more gracefully, right? There's all sorts of results that we have in our life that we may look at and we say, I kind of want to change that. That's not perfectly aligned with the most ideal thing that I can imagine for myself, right? So here's the deal. When we go back to the model, and remember, our thoughts create our feelings, which drive our actions, which ultimately create the results that we get in our lives. So people will come to coaching, people show up to coaching telling me that either a feeling, an action, or a result is the problem. So again, we're going to go through anxiety here because that's what we do here. People will show up to me and they'll say, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling overwhelmed all the time, and it's a problem. I don't want to be feeling this way all the time. And I say, well, a feeling is never a problem, right? And here's why. Feelings don't happen miraculously. Feelings don't come to us out of thin air. Feelings don't just appear for us. All of our feelings come into our bodies because of how we're thinking. So the problem can never be a feeling. The problem is how we're thinking. So then I ask people, okay, what are you feeling stressed about? What are you feeling anxious about? What are you overwhelmed about? And then they start telling me their thoughts. Now we're getting to the problem, right? The problem is never the feeling. Same thing with the action. If they say, well, I really want to be working out and I'm just not motivated. I can't take this action that I want to be taking. Well, that's not a problem because our actions are based on how we're feeling. Our feelings are based on how we're thinking. Actions also don't happen accidentally, right? Nobody accidentally gets super fit. Nobody accidentally quits drinking. Nobody accidentally overhauls their entire lifestyle and diet. Those actions don't happen accidentally. And the reason why is because they're based on feelings, which is based on mindset. It's based on how they're thinking. So anytime you see somebody who's making big changes in their actions, look at the changes they've made in their mindset. They have changed their mind about something. They haven't changed how they're acting, right? Actions are just part of the equation. So again, what about a result? Have you ever met somebody? We almost all have met somebody who's like lost a whole bunch of weight, or they have paid off a whole bunch of debt, or they've just completely overhauled their life and they've become like a much kinder, more patient person, right? Those results are based on new actions that a person took, which are based on new feelings that that person was generating based on new thoughts that they were thinking. Nobody changes a result. Nobody changes an action. Nobody changes a feeling. The only thing we can change is our mind. We change how we think. So unless you're 100% living the life of your dreams, everything's amazing, there's nothing to change. Unless that's your reality, and I have yet to meet that person, right? Then there's something in your mind. There's a thought, there's a story, there's a belief system going on in your mind that we need to look at and we need to challenge. We need to question. We need to change it. We need to change your mind, right? So this is the importance of changing our minds. Now, as adults, we get really caught up in the idea of being right? We love to be right. And changing our minds implies a certain amount of wrongness, right? It implies that we've been doing things not quite correctly, not fully accurately, right? This is hard for some of us to get over, but here's the deal. The people who are willing to set their ego aside, the people who are willing to be just even a little bit wrong about something, who are willing to show up to something like coaching or to something like a personal trainer, even a doctor, right? And say, this isn't going well. And I'm open to the idea that the reason it's not going well is because my current results, my current actions, my current feelings are based on my current mindset. And I'm coming to you, coach or personal trainer or doctor or chiropractor, whoever, I'm coming to you because I know that I want a different result, or I want to be taking a different action, or I just want to feel better, right? And therefore, I need help with my mindset. This is what all of this is. Now, most people, we don't know this, right? We say that we want to change a result. We say we want to change our action or a feeling, right? Most of us show up saying that. But what we're really saying is, I need a mindset shift. I need to change my mind. Okay? So as a coach, this is what I'm hearing people say. They say, I don't want to feel anxious anymore. I want to handle stress and anxiety much better. They say, I want to lose weight. I want to pay off debt. I want to stop drinking. I hear, I need to change my mind. I need to change my mind about what's creating the anxiety for me. I need to change my mind about how I eat. I need to change my mind about how I spend. I need to change my mind about alcohol, right? All of it's just code for I need to change my mind. So in this week's episode, the downloadable goodie, the freebie that I created for this week's episode, is a 3-step guide to how to change your mind about anything, right? Because you can apply this to your health, you can apply this to your finances, you can apply this to work, relationships, spending, drinking, eating, whatever. We're talking about anxiety. This process applies to changing your mind about anything. So step 1, you ready? Let's go through it briefly. Step 1 is to get aware. Okay? So if you show up to coaching or you are just identifying a problem in your life, and you're saying, this is the thing I really want to focus on. We've got the next half of the year, right? We've got half the year left, 2019, and before it's 2020, before this year closes out, here's a result I would like to create for myself, right? The first step is to get super aware of what's going on. So really, if it's a result, really understand that result. And by understanding that result, I mean plug it into the model and start working backwards. What are the actions that you've been taking that net you that result? Look at those actions. Take responsibility for those actions. Things like being in debt or being overweight or drinking or feeling chronically anxious. These things don't happen by accident. We have to look at the actions that we're taking that create this result, okay? Then step it back a little bit further. Then look at how have you been feeling that drives those actions. I know that feelings that's the place where a lot of people want to glaze over. Here's the deal. Your feelings fuel your actions. You have to pay attention to how you're feeling because that is what is fueling all of the action that you're taking. So get clear on how have you been feeling that fuels the action of overspending. Spending when you don't need to be spending. Spending on things you don't need or want. Right? What is the feeling that drives that action? Okay? So look at the feeling. Then back it up even more. What are you thinking that creates that feeling? Now we have identified the problem. So this whole first step, getting aware, is dissecting the model, using the model, dissecting what's going on, right? So take the framework of the model, get aware, and figure out your current model. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is to pause and observe. Now, a lot of people are like, can we just skip step 2? It's all good and fine. I've been observing it. It sucks. I'm ready to move on. No. Pause and observe. What we're doing here is we're going to take a step back. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of perspective, and you're going to act like a scientist. So you've got your current model, right? You can see the thought, the feeling, the action, result. You can see it all laid out. Perfect. Now, we're just going to observe that model in action in your life. We're going to watch it play out. We're just going to watch the thoughts, right? And I give a great example in the podcast of something that was going on with me in my real life here recently that was creating anxiety for me. So listen to the podcast, listen through that example. It takes a minute, so I won't go through it here to make this video too long. But that example explains how we can watch our minds, we can observe our minds at work, and then we can see how it would all play out. Here's how I would feel if I attached myself to that thought and really believed that thought and started living according to that thought. Here's what would happen. Here's how I would feel. Here's how I would act. And this is the result that I would get, all because of this one sentence thought. So we just step back, we observe, and we put ourselves in the role of scientist, where we're just watching what's going on. We're taking notes. We're really noticing that the model proves itself to be right every single time. There's the thought. Oh, here's the feeling. Oh, here's the action. Oh, look, here's the result. Right? Pause and observe. That is the part that takes the most practice. And I think this is the part where we spend the most time, where we need to spend the most time. So step one, get aware. Find your current model. Use the framework of the model to dissect your current situation. Step two, pause and observe. Step three, once you've really seen all of this in action, right, and you believe in your bone marrow how much that thought, that mindset, that flavor of thinking maybe is creating your current result. You can just see it crystal clear. This thought creates this result. You can just, it's obvious, right? From there, we take that current thought, that original thought, and we start to challenge it. We create the bridge. Here's where we are now. And on the other side of the bridge is the ideal promised land, right? Here's where we want to go. Here's the result we want to create. Here's how we want to feel. Here's how we want to be acting, whatever that looks like, right? Identify how you have to be thinking. Find the mindset of a person who has that result. Imagine somebody else if it's easier. A lot of times it's easier to just imagine, like, what does a person who makes $1 million a year think about? What is their mindset? How does that person feel? How does that person act to net themselves the result of $1 million a year? It's interesting to think about. Now you've got your current model and you've got this ideal model of this hypothetical person, your future self, right? On the other side of the bridge. In the middle of the bridge, I want you to, at that high point, and I'm doing like a bridge like Hansel and Gretel, like this kind of bridge. It's not a bridge like we drive over. In the middle of the bridge, that high point of the bridge, I want you to really envision neutrality. Total neutral feelings, actions, results, right? This is like total acceptance of what is, okay? Here's what I want you to picture this. You have to pass from where you are through neutrality to get where you want to go. You can't just jump over into the ideal version. It doesn't feel believable. It doesn't feel accessible. That's not possible. You have to be able to pass through neutral. So find where you are, find neutral, find the ideal. And then the third step of this process of changing your mind about anything is to challenge that current thought and make baby steps to it, believable shifts, believable tweaks where you're moving towards neutrality. And then from neutrality, you keep making believable baby steps and believable shifts where you're moving towards the other side of the bridge, towards the ideal. Make sense? I'm getting myself choked up. Okay. So step one, get aware. Step two, pause and observe. You're going to want to skip this. Don't skip this. Step three, challenge the current thought so that you are on your way into, like, living into that ideal thought. Sound good? Okay. If you have questions, send me an email, DM me on Instagram or here on Facebook. I would love to chat with you. I'd love to hear what's going on in your mind, what you're thinking about. So let me know. And if you want some help with this, if you've been curious about coaching, right? People will come to me and they'll say, I don't know if I'm a good candidate for coaching. Here's the deal. Everybody is a good candidate for coaching. Everybody is a good candidate for healthy food. Everybody is a good candidate for quality sleep. Everybody is a good candidate for having a managed mind. And that's what coaching is. So if you've been curious about coaching, if you're curious about whether you're a good candidate for coaching, and you are, then come over to the website, kellyhanlonmccormick.com/coaching, and you can sign up for a free consultation call with me. I'll explain to you a little bit about how I work and what the process looks like to start one-on-one coaching, but you are a good candidate for it. And if you want to change your mind, and if you want somebody to hold some space for you, right, and stand for that ideal version on the other side of the bridge, come to coaching. Coaching is the best thing that we can do for ourselves. So grab the guide for changing your mind, kellyhanlonmccormick.com/podcast/23. You can download that for free and walk through that process. Listen to the episode where I step through the 3 steps. I give a great example, especially with the pause and observe step that we are all so tempted to skip over. And then, like I said, come on over to kellyhanlonmccormick.com/coaching if you're interested in getting your free consultation call where we will chat about coaching and see if you are ready to go. All right. I hope you're having an awesome week so far. I hope you have an amazing rest of the week, and I will see you same time, same place next Wednesday. Until then, guys, take care. Bye.